Cool. We're going to get us started, lot.
I guess. All right, everyone. What's up? Welcome to another episode. If you happen to catch last week's, let me tell you, was about the demon core. This week's whole episode is basically devoted to. I don't even know what I'm saying. Fucking let's try that again. I was trying. I had an idea of what I was going to do, and then it just fizzled out. Fizzled. So, Danny, have you heard about this demon rock that got broken in Japan?
I never heard of it. I mean, we talked about it briefly the other day. That's
Very
the first time I was hearing about it. Yeah.
I think it's a good, I don't know, maybe it's just a ultra pattern recognition, but it seems like the world's been pretty fucked up for the past couple of years. And apparently this fucking rock that just split in half in Japan has been cracked for the past 2 years and slowly leaking out a demoness fox, nine-tailed fox creature that's been trapped in this volcanic boulder for at least 500 years. And I think that might be where a lot of our woes and miseries and basically what I'm saying is COVID and World War III has been presented to you and sponsored by demons and the demonic core of this rock that is called in Japan Seshoseki, or at least that's the demon. So demons are real. They walk the earth, and we can blame them all for the shitty past 2 years that all of us have had.
Nice scapegoat. Blame the demons, man.
It's interesting that it's called a scapegoat, and goats are so they're woven into that demon culture and demonic, satanic kind of culture. So a scapegoat being a literal half goat, half fucking demon creature makes sense.
You know?
So that brings us into our topic for the day, I guess.
That was a entomology from Ryan Dodge.
Yeah.
That should be a new part.
Just breaking down words in ways that don't make sense.
Scapegoat comes from a goat, but goats have demons. Demons are half goat.
Well, and
loved it.
Scapegoat, escapegoat, a goat that escaped the confines of hell and is now reigning terror. So the goat escaped its confines and is now running amok, eating up all the cans.
What happened to the ES and scapegoat?
It's silent. I think it's a French word.
Scapegoat?
Yeah,
Scapegoat?
It's like escargot. Maybe that's what that is. Escargot, scapegoat, escargot.
Wait, it's pronounced scapegoat or scapegoat?
It's pronounced scapegoat. I was trying to make an etymology joke of scapegoat. Didn't work.
You were so convincible. I was like, hold on, is he being for real? Because I don't know how what was, oh my gosh,
how words are formed. It's funny that we're having to talk about like etymology and like the origins of word.
Escargot. How do you spell escargot? Escargot?
I think it's ES space cargo. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not French. I know it's snails. Gross.
Yeah, I've never tried it. But scapegoats. So demons. We kind of were wanting to get into demons, yeah?
Demons, angels. At a certain point, maybe what's the difference? Yeah, I was doing some research on. I think it's funny, and I think it's a really good metaphor. Out of all the research that I've done, so basically, I was looking into the idea of like the hierarchy of like the orders of I guess, importance or powers that exist within like demonology, but then also in like biblical angelic, whatever beliefs. And it's always interesting to me, like Bill Maher said this in the documentary Religulous. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Fucking such a great documentary.
It's
I
a good
love it.
one.
It's funny. It's irreverent. It also makes some really good points. But he says, like, is it, I don't know, is it so much of a monotheistic religion when essentially the head dude, God, is one being in three parts? So, God, the Father, the Holy Spirit, and Christ are three beings that are also one God. But then when you add in the hierarchy of angels, and then when you add in like saints, it becomes this weird like pantheon, almost paganistic, kind of, very similar to like how, in the Greek world, Zeus is the main guy, and then you got all the other gods that have their own specific roles to play.
Yeah, there becomes a caste. There becomes a caste involved.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Yeah, it's ironic when the teachings are monotheistic in nature of you worship the one true God, there's no one else, and then you have this seeming panthology come from it. And over the thousands of years of Christianity, like how Buddhism also did it out east, like, it expanded, cultures adapted it, and so these pagan cultures were being absorbed, but also influencing Christianity. And I think it's just in general, I think it's just in our DNA to like build and construct, whether that's, physically or upon our ideas in a more metaphysical sense. And so during, the building of the religion, you get these people who are like, okay, so let's classify what's going on here so that we can make more sense of what we believe here.
Yeah.
But it is horribly ironic. And I like when Bill Maher makes the statement of like, what are we really doing here as monotheists? Because
right,
it's not really laid out like that. So it's like they say one thing, but then they build another.
It's the third or fourth commandment that, out of the 10 commandments that, God supposedly gives to Moses on Mount Sinai. Like the third or fourth one is, your God is a jealous God, and you shall have no other gods besides me. Yet he's cool with all these other fucking like semi or demigods.
Well, because they work for him, right?
Exactly. And that's one thing I was thinking about is like,
or they work against him.
Ooh, Lucifer, the fallen angel, the bringer of light. We'll get into that in a little bit. I kind of noticed, like, when I was looking at this, so the pantheon of the angelic, whatever, I don't know what the word would be, but it's basically set up. There's 9 specific segments of the angels, or like sort of demigods that are within Christianity, broken up into 3 different tiers of like, the closest circle is the one that has like direct contact with quote unquote God. And then you have the second tier that have contact with the first, sphere of influence. And then there's the third sphere that is basically just like relaying all the information to humanity, I guess. And it's
so
interesting.
There's just all these middle angels, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's set up exactly how the fucking mafia is set up. You know what I mean? Like you've got your boss, you've got your Don Corleone, and then you've got your underbosses that they're the only people that have access to the boss. And
it makes sense that the mafia would construct their organization with a Catholic reference in mind.
Maybe, but I don't know if it was on purpose, but that's logistically, that's what makes, I guess, the most sense.
Yeah, well, mafias are, rank is based off of power, right? So you have money, you have influence, you have people, and so it's just not necessarily archaic, but it's how society and civilizations have been formed their entire lives. It's just kind of a reflection on it.
Yeah. I think it's
And
just
of course, like it's reflected in the philosophy as well. And so I feel like, they said 9 levels of angels. Is that what you said?
yeah, 9 total different like distinctions of what
Yeah.
each sort of angel's job is.
Hmm. And so that reminds me of Dante's Inferno and with the layers of hell. And so,
Ooh.
the most forward thinking people of like the medieval ages and the blossoming into the Renaissance, a lot of it had to deal with the not the occult, but the kind of more like hermetic, esoteric practices that bring in sacred geometry and the significance of number and the construct of power. And so it's kind of also like a weird early political science being reflected on a religion.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's almost like, I don't know, a chicken and the egg kind of debate, I guess, of like which came first. Was it, this numerology or this like pattern was established, or this hierarchical nature of organization was established ahead of time, by the deity that, we call God? Or is
Mm-hmm.
this just a reflection of our own, like you said before, like our human nature to compartmentalize things and put things in certain boxes?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's the whole debate. Did God create man, or did man create God? I don't know. But it is kind of fascinating that, like, I don't know. We think of going back to the idea of God being a jealous God, and Bill Maher brings this up in Religious, of just like, what a petty human emotion for a God to have. Like, you would think of God as being like above those petty emotional and sort of like almost like a self-esteem issue of like, oh, I'm a jealous God.
Mm-hmm.
You would also think that God would have higher organizational powers than essentially what goes on in corporate America today. You
Yeah.
have the boss, and then you have the underbosses, and then you have, essentially almost like a pyramid scheme of like, you have all these people down at the bottom doing all the heavy lifting, and then sort of in a militaristic kind of way, the privates talk to the sergeants talk to the commanders talk to the generals talk to the majors, and then you get all the way up to like POTUS. You'd think God would have, I don't know, maybe a more creative way of being
Yeah.
able to do these things.
And there's also potential like that becomes a misinterpretation through a human lens, right? And so I feel like a lot of medieval priests and things like that utilize that for their own power, gain, and saying, well, you can talk to me and I'll talk to God, and I'll forgive you and give me money and it'll be great.
Yeah.
And then when you think of it from, it's interesting, I guess this kind of jumps the topic a little bit, but I think it's important here. When you look at kind of like more Eastern philosophies like Buddhism, talk about roles and ranks of life. And it's not that one is greater than the other, but that the sum equals all its parts. And so each part has a role to play. And so in this, reflection of Christianity, it's, if God were to reflect upon this, it's not that he would be like, well, this is higher than you, or this is higher than you. It's more of just being like, well, this is just what you are. This is just what that is. And so you're fulfilling your role, and that's fulfilling its role.
Yeah, it's almost like a football team. Like, any quarterback will say that their offensive line is their most important part of, like, they're who's protecting you, but they're not going to get the glory because they're not the ones, scoring the touchdowns. But still, like, you have your role to play. Just because you're not the dude fucking, catching the ball one-handed, or throwing the ball fucking 80 yards or whatever it is, you still have your role to play.
Mm-hmm.
You had a good point that I was going to reflect on. It's gone. Don't remember it. Anyway, Shall we just get into the hierarchy as it sort of stands by most theologians?
Yeah, let's check it out, man.
Cool. So there's 3 tiers essentially. It's kind of how it's like sort of set out. At least the most commonly.
Are you reading from the Pseudo Dionysius, the Areopagite, the Greek dude?
Yeah, Dionysius.
Thanks. I knew I butchered that pronunciation.
It's also really weird. It's interesting to me, again, etymology, that it's Dionysius, which is so close to the Greek god of Dionysus, the god of fertility and the god of wine. And
Yeah.
I just noticed that was interesting. But yeah, like
that's how I was reading it.
Yeah.
When I first thought, I was like, huh. So they wrote this in the 5th or 6th century. So what is that, like after and he's Greek, so this was what, the Eastern Roman Empire?
Yeah, like the sort of the ending of the Roman Empire and the sort of cracking of it, I guess.
And it was also in the time of like great like moves towards deeming certain Christianities heretical, and so they were fighting for a uniformed Christianity. So they were probably trying to describe the shit out of everything. So if anybody thought of anything different, you knew that it wasn't the real Christianity and that it could be hereticized, whatever.
Yeah, like the Holy Roman Empire versus like the Ottoman Empire, and like sort of Eastern Orthodox Christianity versus more of the Western Catholic.
Yeah.
A time of great strife.
Let's check out these orders, man.
So yeah, the first order, or the thing that I was looking at, was describing them as spheres, which I think is kind of, I don't know, interesting. But the first one, they're the ones that have like the direct connection to God, and their descriptions are pretty fucking heavy metal. So there's the seraphim, which either translates to burned or serpent, which is, I immediately thought of Quetzalcoatl, the serpent god.
Yeah.
That's just a weird sort of I don't know, connection between these two worlds that supposedly should never have met. The fact that these two, Quetzalcoatl and then also Christianity having a burning serpent god, just seems perplexing and it seems weird. But so he the seraphim, I think there was 4 of them. A lot of this is coming from the book of Enoch in the Bible, which I actually read a little bit through. I pulled out my old fucking Bible. And just random side note, I think this is interesting. So in the Bible, total random side note, but if you can see this whole big chunk over here, that's all the Old Testament. And that's all there actually is of the New Testament. So it's like you got this big fat book of basically what is Judaism, and then you got this little like sort of side note at the end of Christianity. Total random thought.
Millions of people have been killed for it.
Yeah. Over just like 200 pages. Also, why are the Bible's pages always so thin?
They're very thin, aren't they?
It's the thinnest piece of paper ever in every Bible. Don't get it. Anyway, these seraphim are described as like flying serpent beasts that are on fire with 6 wings, and they're the ones that are essentially carrying God's throne, as described in the book of Ezekiel. And then the next I don't know, demarcation within that sort of first level is the cherub, which cherubs we now think of from like, I don't know, medieval artwork, especially like you think of like the Valentine's Days, like Cupid is often described as a cherub, and it's like this little baby with tiny little wings, and it's got the bow and arrow with the heart-shaped arrow, and he shoots that's what a lot of us have in our idea as a fucking cherub. But
so they kind of have like a hominid form.
Well, not as it's described in the actual text of the book of Enoch and in other verses in the Bible. They're more seen, they're humanoid, but they have 4 wings, and they're the ones that are driving the chariots of God's throne. It's all very convoluted. But they're also said to be the ones that are depicted on the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is described as this big box that the Israelites had to carry across the desert for 40 years. Moses, all that good stuff. But on top of it are two cherubs, which are two just like winged, almost like the Swan Song logo for Zeppelin on their later albums. And in between their wings, I'm going off on a whole thing. The thing that was super interesting to me is they're described as having 4 separate faces. Which like it's hard to wrap your mind around. Like, is there one face here, one face here, one face here, one face here, or what is it? Like I don't know. But one is supposed to be of a lion. One is supposed to be of an ox or a cattle, some sort of grazing herd animal. The other face is human, and then the other face is an eagle, which bears a striking resemblance to many of the gods of Egypt. Who's the falcon deity in Egypt? Yeah, Horus. It's just for being
I think they also attribute the books of like Luke, Matt, John, and Paul. They each prescribe the 4 gospels to one of those animals as well, one of those faces. So one's a lion, one's an ox, one's an eagle. I think one is a human.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't come across that.
Just more medieval symbolism, but they're probably referencing the cherubs, but they were the gospel writers. So I don't know. Are the gospel writers ranked?
They're all considered saints, but they're not in the realm of being like angels or archangels or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, at least. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to do some more research on that. I just think it's interesting that you still have this weird, like, I don't know, mythical kind of feeling. Like Centaur is a half man and half horse, and the Minotaur is half bull and half man. And it's weird that these same tropes are showing up within Christianity, which is supposed to be, at least according to today's culture, supposed to be separated from that mythic lore.
Mm-hmm.
And to find it, sort of buried within the actual text of like, it's this weird hybrid creation of 4 different animal heads and a winged humanoid figure that's driving the chariots of God down to come to Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating. I love how, symbolism has been used for communication, throughout the millennia. And like, obviously, our early humans drew from what they knew, which was, the natural world. And so then those symbols, just been morphing and changing for thousands of years.
And just propagating and rippling through culture ever since. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
So I thought that was... What do you got after the cherubs?
Yeah, after the cherubs, the next one is the throne, which is...
It's a great name.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, thanks, Captain fucking Obvious. It's literally described as the throne of God. At least it's the actual chariots as it's described, which, you got to take that with a grain of salt. It's probably not a legitimate actual chariot, but that's the only phrasing they probably had to describe what they saw. But they're the actual chariots and are driven by the cherubs, who are then also accompanied by the seraphim that are essentially flying around God, praising his name and saying, holy, holy, holy all the time. And this is what a lot of like the Ancient Aliens, whatever, draws from, is this like weird description. And the throne is described as being several consecutive wheels all spinning within each other. And that's where the ancient aliens come up with the idea of, or theorists. Some ancient alien theorists describe what was told to them by the Book of Enoch as 3 encircled rings, all spinning together, spouting fire of serpents. But when you actually look at it, it does kind of like, where the fuck did this guy get this shit from, Ezekiel? Like, if he didn't see anything, like, this dude has the wildest imagination ever. Which, if he does, fucking good on him. He should have been a fictionist.
Have you ever read the Book of Ezekiel?
I've read passages. I actually want to go through. Or do I keep saying Ezekiel? I think I want to. No, yeah, it's Ezekiel.
Enoch or Ezekiel?
I've got it marked out in here. No, Ezekiel. Yeah, Ezekiel. I do really want to read it, and I actually do plan on smoking up a fat doobie and just sitting there and reading the Book of Enoch or Ezekiel. I read the first, like, I don't know, the equivalent of the first couple pages, or not even pages, paragraphs, and I was like, this is kind of fucking cool. This is kind of fucking metal. So yeah, that's I guess the first order within the hierarchical nature, and they're the only ones who have like direct communication with God. And then the second sphere, first one are the dominations. Again, really weird phrasing and weird, word choicing. The dominations. They're essentially the bureaucrats of. They're the ones that are there. They're the hall monitors. They're the ones that are there making sure that all the other angels and whatever sub angels, whatever it is, are doing their job, and they're called the dominations. I don't know. There's something weird in that.
Are they called the dominations or the dominions?
I might have written it down yet wrong, but the one that I found was dominations.
I'm just on Wiki. It says dominions.
Either way. It's something like that. Either way,
Fair.
I'm just commenting on the phraseology that I wrote down. Maybe that's some Freudian thing that I did. I don't know.
Fair.
Then there's the virtues, which have control over the elements, which again is just like, that's such a weird thing. That's such a paganistic thing to have built within your monotheistic religion.
They're just reconfiguring, understanding the forces that are greater than them into a Christian format.
Yeah.
Right? Just adapting.
For sure. But it's still just like, it's almost like Avatar, the anime. You know what I mean? Like, okay, never mind.
The Last Airbender?
There we go. So, yeah, I don't know. It just seemed, whatever. Moving
I love
on.
that fucking show. It's a great show.
It is a really fucking good show.
Yeah.
And then there's the powers, which they control, supposedly, they have dominion over the evil forces within the world, which, if these guys just have control over the evil forces, tell them just get rid of them. Do your job. Get rid of these fucking guys, and then we'd all be fucking chill, and we wouldn't have evil left. So then third sphere, the principalities, they guide the nations and groups and like installations, like the church, essentially like the UN of the realm of the hierarchy.
Nice.
And then you got the archangels, which are actually kind of like a little bit closer to being the boots on the ground. They're the ones that are directly fighting with good and evil, or
they're
good
the soldiers
versus evil. Yeah, like you've got Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, which it almost gets into like Ninja Turtles kind of theory.
Oh yeah, baby.
I was actually thinking about this the other day. So you know how like Marvel movies are fucking huge. DC movies, still the same kind of thing. Let's imagine a world where the Marvel movies and the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all the comics are still around, society collapses, somehow after thousands of years when a new society shows up, if they saw the comic books of the Marvel movies or saw the movies or, you know, whatever, if like that was the only thing that ended up making it through, wouldn't they kind of read the same thing that we read into, you know, the Greek religions or the Greek religion and like all these sort of like more paganistic religion?
Mhm.
And maybe
Especially if they picked it up and they were in a more primitive state of, I guess, society building.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But like they could easily make the assumption that our culture viewed these characters as gods, because that's essentially what the superheroes are. They're essentially gods.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just kind of like thinking about that the other day. I was just like, fuck, what if that's sort of what happened with, you know, all these paganistic religions where like they're not really actually thinking of these things as supreme beings and gods that actually have control. These are just fun comic books from 4,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, where it's just like, yeah, no, this is just entertainment. This is just like, you know, the new book or the new story comes to town of Hercules fighting the three-headed serpent, or no, he fights the three-headed dog in what's it called, the fiery underworld where Hades reigns.
Celebrius, the name of the three-headed dog.
Yeah. So maybe like we're just looking at it through this lens of we see ourselves above them. So these primitive guys must have absolutely believed that this is an actual true story. Whereas that could have been, you know, in Greek society, like, oh, that's just going to see the new Spider-Man movie that just came out. That's going to see the new Batman movie that just came out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that was
I think the Greeks used their mythology and pantheon to, you know, create these really fun, exciting stories to help, you know, teach their society, you know, their morals, you know, through symbolism and things like that. And so it's just another form of storytelling, right?
Totally. But we assume we put our own assumptions on what we believe that they thought. And like we're assuming that they actually legitimately believe this word for word, where maybe it was more of just parable to them. And it was like,
there are people who take the old shit like that word for word. It's hilarious.
Absolutely. What's that fucking Australian dude who has the museum of like,
the Noah's Ark Museum, or
the
whatever?
Noah's Ark and the Creationist Museum.
I don't know. He's a scientist too. So
We'll put quotes around that.
He's had a few debates with Bill Nye, and Bill Nye just looks so aggravated all the time. Anytime he has to deal with him. Yeah. I remember there's this, actually, it's a really fun watch. It should be on YouTube. You can watch, Bill Nye was invited to this dude's ark and to have like a walk around, and it was the entire visit was filmed, and like, you know, Bill Nye gets berated by guests, but him and the other scientists have discourse, and it's quite easy to, you know, Bill Nye holds himself really well, and this other guy just kind of starts
stumbling over his words and,
you know, sticking to a script, and like it's a good watch. It's a good watch. Let me pull it up really quick, just in case anybody who watches this is curious.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll maybe put a link to it if I can find it in the description or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Here it is. I'll send you a link. It's called. Hold on. It's just called Bill Nye Tours the Ark Encounter.
Bill Nye tours the Ark Encounter. Bill Nye. Bill Nye tours the Ark Encounter. Fucking whatever. Bill Nye, the science guy.
Ark encounters are bullshit. Anyways, yeah, I might rewatch it. Make me feel better about myself.
Yeah, I remember watching that. I definitely remember watching those debates between Bill and that other dude. Let's not even say his name. Let's not even look it up. Give him no credit. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
It is baffling that people actually believe, like Seventh-day Adventists or whoever who actually like believes legitimately that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and that the Jews buried the dinosaurs,
the bones. Oh my gosh!
To throw us off of our belief and our faith in Christ and fucking get the fuck out of here. All right, so that's basically the pantheon of sort of the demigods of Christianity.
Yeah, that's cool. I only knew of archangels and angels. I had no idea of all the other like 7 ones you mentioned.
Yeah, before I actually really started researching, like I knew the story of the book of Ezekiel, and I knew that there was like, I always had the assumption before I actually like looked into this for, this episode, that archangels were like number 2. I thought it was like God, Jesus, Holy Ghost, and then right next to it is, Michael the archangel or Gabriel the archangel. I thought they were like way higher on the list, and then turns out they're kind of they're more of the hitman.
Yeah, yeah.
If we're doing the mafia comparison, they're on that sort of, they're the boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Less so actually in control.
Mm-hmm.
I did find it very funny that the Christian sort of hierarchy is very well established and very well defined, but then the demonic hierarchy is just all over the fucking place, which is exactly what you would expect between like
order versus chaos.
Yeah, exactly. That duality of like the Christian, like everything, like, shirt tucked in, buttoned all the way up, got a nice belt on with their slacks, going to church on Sunday morning, and then the fucking Satan is just like throwing shit against the wall. And yeah, I did want to sort of read out some of the names that I found that sort of are within that sort of demonic hierarchy, and like sort of the princes and the leaders of hell in the hellish region.
I want to hold on. I got to pee so bad. I'm going to do that really quick. I figured this would be a good time to take a break and pee.
Yeah. We're in the middle of a transition. Get after it. All right, cool. So some of the names of the pantheon of these influential demonic people, or people, entities, spirits, whatever, the demons. Some of them are pretty fucking metal, and their titles are sick.
Should we make this the Let Me Tell You?
Should we make this the Let Me Tell You? I've got another one I've been toying around with.
Okay, I got about like 30 minutes left.
About 30 minutes.
Around like 5:45.
I don't think this is enough for a Let Me Tell You.
Okay, cool.
So I can do something else for that.
Well, let's finish out the demon talk first.
Yeah, the demon talk. Everyone, nothing like recording a podcast on Sundays and just talking about some fucking demons.
Yeah, got some demon talk.
All right, so some of the names. Obviously, we all know Beelzebub. He is referred to as the supreme chief of the empire of hell. Pretty badass. Satan is the prince dethroned and chief of opposition party. So
Beelzebub and Satan are two different.
It's all very convoluted. Satan has many names: Prince of Darkness, Lucifer, Beelzebub, Satan, the devil. But it's all, from the research that I've done, it's all very conflated and very confusing. But this is just, this is all taken from, it's called the Dictionnaire Infernal from 1818. And it's where a theologian sort of documented. There was, when I was looking through this, there were so many different descriptions of the different hierarchical groupings of the demons or whatever. I don't know. Is it
Binsfelds?
That sounds right.
Cool.
I've got it on my computer and now I'm working off the iPad. So either way. So Satan, prince dethroned and chief of the opposition party. Euronome, Prince of Death, Moloch, Prince of the Country of Tears, and Moloch. This is you've heard of Bohemian Grove, right?
Mm-hmm.
Moloch is supposedly the owl god statue, often referred to as a bull, but Moloch is the god that they're supposedly burning this effigy for. So a little fun fact there. So Moloch, Prince of the Country of Tears, fucking metal. Pluton, Prince of Fire. And then you got Leonard, Great Lord of the Sabbath. One of the dude's fucking names is actually fucking Leonard. How can you have any self-respect when you're fucking hanging out with fucking... You guys are all in hell and you're having this grand scheme, this meeting of all the higher-ups. And it's like, so, Beelzebub, what shall you do? I shall be the supreme chief of the empire of hell. All right. Satan, what shall you do? I am the prince dethroned and chief of the opposition party. What about you, Euronome? I am known as the Prince of Death. And I am Moloch, Prince of the Country of Tears. Hey, guys, I'm Leonard. What a fucking bitch of a demon to just have.
What's he prince of?
He's the prince of... Oh, no, he's not even a fucking prince. This is how fucking bitch ass of a dude this guy is. He is the Great Lord of the Sabbath.
Oh.
And the Sabbath is supposed to be the holy day. So, like, that's... What are you doing, dude? Leonard. Leonard. Fucking Leonard, dude.
Oh, they got a picture of him up on his wiki page. He looks like such a bitch.
I'll definitely be editing that in right now. Fucking Leonard. That guy, fucking glasses, fucking pushing up the nose ass nerd. He was definitely the dude who was like going on coffee runs for fucking Beelzebub.
Ooh, Wiki says he's the Grand Master of nocturnal orgies of demons.
All
So
right, that's pretty cool.
At least he enjoys himself.
But so I'm thinking he's not. He's the Grand Master.
Ooh, this is racist. It says here he's represented with 3-horned goat and a human black face. A black human face.
A human black face.
No, a black human face. Bad joke.
So even if he is the minister of fucking orgies or whatever, he's the guy at the front door, like making sure that people are following the rules or whatever. He's the one. I picture him with a tie
with the clipboard. Let's see if you're on the guest list.
Yeah, exactly. And just like, all right, let's see if you're on the list here. Let's see. Beelzebub. Okay, Beelzebub. All right, you're sequestered to section B17, so you're gonna go off there. Hitler's over there. Okay, and who do we got here? Satan. Yes. Okay, Satan. Sorry, Leonard. I'm here. I just got to make sure we're all following the rules.
Oh God, this guy's fucking torture.
Guys,
God, he's like the worst of us. This is insufferable.
Guys, I think it's really offensive when you use unflattering language like fuck. I would appreciate it. We're all having to work. Leonard's the dude in HR. Leonard is for sure the HR bitch. Guys, I would actually, we're all in a workplace environment. I understand that, Satan, you're very upset with let's see here. Moloch. Okay, so Moloch, tell me how that makes you feel. Okay. I just thought that was when I came across that after reading such metal names.
And then Leonard. And is he the last one?
There's a couple others, but I figured Leonard was a good punchline to end on.
He really is, yeah.
But just fucking, you are in the pantheon of the demonic hierarchy. You are amongst the evilest of evil spirits in the world. And not only do you have just a regular dude's name, you have the guy's name that gets pushed in the locker in 7th grade and locked in there.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking
yeah, it was pretty fucking hilarious. And it's so like it doesn't make sense. All the other ones just seem like they're like old Hebrew names, and then it's Leonard, and you're just like, where the fuck did this come from? I wonder if the dude who was writing this had an arch nemesis named Leonard, and he wanted to classify a race of demons after his this douchebag Leonard.
He had a vendetta against his math teacher from middle school who failed him because he didn't know the Pythagorean theorem. Just like, you know what? Fuck this. Leonard. He's going to be the HR director of fucking hell. Just fucking. Not only is it not a cool metal name, it's not even a cool name for just a guy.
You know?
So that's the research I did on the devil. Now, as far as the actual devil goes, or it's a weird, vague, not gray area, but like in the Bible, the devil was never meant to be this physical being. He's just the sort of all-encompassing. There we go. The all-encompassing idea of evil as on like a spiritual nature. The one potential time, I guess, in the Bible where he's seen as a physical entity is in Genesis, where he's, you know, attributed to being the snake that tricks what's her fucking name, Eve, into eating the apple from the tree of knowledge. Which is, again, we could get into that whole idea of like, so Lucifer directly means bringer of light. And he is the person that brings quote unquote knowledge and like brings Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge. Essentially bringing light and bringing illumination to new ideas and new sort of ways of thinking. And it's interesting that that's demonized so heavily in the Catholic Church, of the bringer of knowledge, the bringer of, you know, luminescence to new challenging ideas is immediately demonized and seen as, you know, the antithesis of what they're trying to do, which is essentially kind of what it is. Satan is, you know, Lucifer, I guess, or the serpent is bringing your eyes to see things for what they are, whereas the Catholic Church, especially in, you know, the medieval age, was suppressing knowledge as hard as they could. And we are the sole givers of knowledge, and any knowledge that you come through that's not directly from us, that's heretical, and you will burn in hell, which hell isn't even brought up in the Bible specifically. It mentions like Lucifer was banished to a fiery burning place, fire and brimstone, all that kind of shit. But like, it's never seen as like a place that evil souls are sent to. But the way it's sort of manipulated within like those early years of the Catholic Church is just like, if you learn anything that we didn't teach you, then you're a necromancer, you know?
Yeah. You're worshiping a false god, being dragged down to hell.
Oh, Galileo, you got your fancy witchcraft fucking telescope, and you're figuring out that we're not actually the center of the universe.
The devil's whispering in your ear.
Yep. We're going to kill you, bud. Unless you kill yourself.
I really enjoy non-orthodox ideas behind the story of Adam and Eve and the role of the serpent. There's a big one. I believe it was one of the Gnostic Christianities where the snake was sent down by God because Adam and Eve were being guided by a demigod that was superficial and super controlling and annoying. And then by the snake helping them recognize the knowledge between good and evil and understanding the illusion that they've been living in, it's like the snake was the human's liberator from that samsara that they were like stuck in under a false god. I thought that one was fascinating.
So it's sort of like almost like the Church of Satanism, of like, oh, you are actually being fooled by this power.
Yeah.
Lucifer is the one that actually opened your eyes to true knowledge.
I mean, I wonder if the Satanism gained a lot of its pretext from these kind of older, more esoteric Christianities that had to operate underground for so long.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the kind of more esoteric philosophical ideas that, can be interpreted through the story of Adam and Eve. And obviously there's thousands of almost virtually endless ways to interpret it. But there's a lot of beautiful ones out there. It's nice.
Yeah. I like apples.
Apples are pretty bomb.
Dude, I got a fucking number. How do you like them apples? Goodwill fucking hunting. Yeah, why don't you go and fucking regurgitate your garden war? Yeah, and I mean, I've always kind of found that idea. First of all, if God was all powerful and he wanted Adam and Eve to just be able to just hang out in the garden and live their life, how would you ever let Satan even get in there to tempt them? Like, they don't, supposedly they don't have the knowledge to know the difference between good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in this paradise of Eden that God has created for Adam and Eve to, procreate and fill the world. It seems like a shitty plot point in a bad movie of just like, how did you even let this happen? You know what I mean?
It's yeah. It opens up, it always makes me think back of the people who were using this story as a form of guidance for, before writing, where things were passed down, lessons were learned through the, storytelling and things like that, where in a perfect utopian world, there's always going to be this, therein lies the seed for the exact, like the destruction of this perfect world. And it's like an ancient Murphy's law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So then the whole story is, there will always be a falling from grace. And so wherein lies the balance between these two measures that were intrinsically wrapped up in being the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah. And go the yin and yang kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
Within even the lightest place, there's a little glimmer of darkness, vice versa.
Yeah.
But that's more of a modern, I don't know. Maybe I'm taking it too literally.
But is it modern? Maybe that's also where it's more organic roots before it started to get so convoluted and constructed. I like to fantasize about that, but who knows? Not me.
No, me too. Well, and yeah, that idea of the yin and the yang and all that stuff is also very ancient. But I don't know. To me, it's antithetical to the whole idea of so God is supposed to be all powerful. He can do everything. Whatever his mind, why is evil even a fucking thing? If God is so powerful and all he wants is I don't know, maybe Christians will say like he's working on a higher plane than you and you just don't get it, but like why even let it happen? Why even let, if he's benevolent and he wants nothing but good for people and souls and spirits or whatever, just make it all gravy. Just make it heaven right now. Why do we have to have this weird sort of purgatory world of fighting over good and evil when God in theory could just go like, fuck this. Everyone's chill. Everyone's cool. There's no evil. I don't know.
Because that obviously is just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think that was the core thing of me sort of leaving whatever my faith was.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a little kid, you believe the fucking stories and you're like, oh, fucking Jonah got eaten by a whale and then he got puked up 3 days later. Cool. Sounds good. This sounds just like
Stay away from deep water.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
fucking
where my crippling fear, that's where my crippling fear of the ocean came from. It's just, I got traumatized by the idea of getting swallowed.
God.
And then whenever you bring up the idea of like, oh, Jonah, fucking, you believe that Jonah got eaten by a whale, Christians, like, I used to get in arguments with like the Christian, not ministers, but I don't know, on a college campus, sometimes there'll be people like trying to convince you like, oh, you should totally, they're trying to reform you. And if I had nothing to do, I'd be like, okay, let's fucking argue. Let's have a conversation, man. I'll sit here all day.
You would get pulled into that, wouldn't you?
Oh, dude, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. Nice.
It's almost like this is kind of a different thing, but similarity. I remember one time in college, I was going to get my, it wasn't called an Epic Pass back then, but like the Vail Resorts Pass. And so you have to go into, it's a fucking ski seasons pass photo. I'm going to make it weird. I'm going to make it goofy. And I went in to go get my photo taken, and I made a weird face for the photo for the ski pass. And the dude was like, "You can't do that, man. It's got to be a serious picture." I was like, "It's a fucking ski photo, man. Like, quit taking your job so seriously." And so he's like, "You got to do it serious." I was like, "All right." And he went 1, 2, 3, and then I made the weird face again. And he was just like, "Dude, seriously, you can't do that." And I just looked at him dead in the eyes and I went, "Hey, man, I have nothing to do for the rest of the night. I will be here taking this photo 1,000 times over until you just let me do it. I will clog up this whole mechanism of you getting photos for all these other people that need their passes, because I got shit to do tonight. So it's your choice. Either you let me do what I do, and then we can move on and both go our separate ways and never talk again, or I will be here all night. And if you don't let me do it tonight, I will be back tomorrow. And I will be back the next day. And I will be back the day after that." Once again, you throw the ball at me, I can't just catch it and put it down. It's like, oh, you just started a war.
So what did he say?
Eventually, he just let me take the picture.
Nice. She gave up.
I was just like, dude, what are you doing? Total random caveat, but same kind of idea of like, yeah, if sometimes
she was being a real Leonard about it.
Fucking Leonard, dude. Let me take the photo like I want to take it, Leonard. Actually, it says right here in the documents that you need to be taking a serious photo, and there can be no funny faces or no costumes of any. Leonard. Yeah, fucking. But same thing with like, yeah. If the evangelical Christians are out on campus when I was in college, and they're trying to fucking convert me, it's like, all right, man, I got nothing to do. I'll sit here and have an argument with you because no one else will argue about this with me. So let's fucking go, dude. Don't know where I was going with that story because I went off on a couple tangents. But what were we just fucking talking about before I said that?
Oh, we were just talking about like, why wouldn't God create a utopia if he was all good?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So that's kind of a thing that, like, I don't know. When it doesn't make logical sense to me is when I start losing all my. You lost the credibility because this just doesn't logically make sense. Why would God do this?
Yeah.
And maybe he's smarter than I am. I don't know though. I'm pretty fucking smart though, dude.
I'd say so.
No. So speaking of snakes and Lucifer and being a fucking snake in the Garden of Eden, I was thinking about this the other night. Snakes are just all torso.
Oh yeah.
How long would you?
Or just one super long neck.
Same. They just don't have shoulders.
They're just a super long spine.
Where does the neck start? Where does the torso begin? But either way, how long would you survive if somebody cut off both your legs and both your arms and you were just a torso? You'd be dead. You'd
have to have people to help you, otherwise you'd die. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's where the sort of the demonization of the serpent comes from, is like, we just don't know. It doesn't make sense. This thing with no limbs and just, it's all neck and torso, just cruising around. I think subconsciously our ancestors saw that and were just like, the fuck? Because everything else that we see moving around has legs or arms of some kind. They might be wings, but that's A wing is just a fucking arm with a lot of extra skin flapped to it, or feathers or whatever. So we see all of these different things that have like appendages that move, and it makes sense mechanically. And then when you see a snake that's just fucking making its way around with nothing going on, I think our ancestors were just like, what the fuck is that? It must be the devil, dude. Of course it's the devil. How's it moving? It's got no arms. It's all torso. If you can't tell, I was extremely high when I was thinking about this.
I love it, man. I love it.
Couple of augurs, and I'm just like,
interesting interpretation.
Snakes are just heads and torsos, bro.
They're just all torso, bro. Can't trust all torso.
You can't.
It's not a well-rounded workout. You got to focus on more than just torso. Sorry, snakes.
Yeah. And anybody who might be listening who is just all torso, this isn't a slight on you as an individual person. I think torsos are great. Torsos are maybe, I don't know, top 10 body part for me. Torsos are awesome. So don't think that we're making fun of you by being just a torso person. There's probably not that many people out there that are just torsos, but they're out there for sure. And I respect you. But also, I'm mystified on how you're able to survive in life. Because you're just a snake. You're just a shortened snake. Dude. You're just a snake. You're just a snake that got in a horrific accident with a fucking safe. You were standing upright, and then a safe came down and just squished you down a little bit.
Imagine being all torso and then being in a situation where a snake comes up to you. Snake on snake. It's not going to end well for the human snake.
I mean, would you have a connection? It's sort of like, I don't know.
You'd have a connection as a prey does to its predator.
Or maybe you might be cool. You might be like, the snake might come up to you and see you and be like, oh shit.
What's up, this dude gets it. This dude gets it.
Yeah, man. Look at this guy. Yo, dude. Ah, no arms, huh? But you couldn't gesture, so it'd be like, hey.
It'd just be, you just gotta start like hissing at them, like the whole conversation would be in parcel mouth.
I was about to say, do people that don't have arms or legs, are they innately able to speak parcel tongue?
No. I think this is a great note to end this conversation.
I think so.
I'm sorry. I have a lot of shit to do today. I'm starting to get anxious.
No, it's all good.
On a fucking Sunday of all fucking days.
I think that was a fun way of ending the conversation.
I think so too. I'm glad you brought up your torso theory. It was good.
I'm gonna write a dissertation on it here in a little bit, so keep an eye out for that.
Great.
All right, you want to jump into a freaking let me tell you?
Yeah, man. Give me a let me tell you.
All right, dude.
Oi, I got something to fucking tell you right here.
Dude, let me tell you.
Let me tell you.
Let me tell you.
Dude, I gotta fucking tell you. I have something to tell you. Let me fucking tell you something.
Let me tell you. I'm gonna do a quick little let me tell you about this basketball team in 2000, Spanish team. So they're going to the Paralympics, right? It's a mentally handicapped team. You know, they're not torso boys.
Torso boys would have a hard time playing basketball.
Yeah, that'd be rough. Edit that out. That was a really fucked up joke. So they're not physically disabled. They're all mentally disabled. They go through in 2000 and basically sweep the Paralympics. Like everyone's like, holy fuck, how is this Spanish fucking Paralympic basketball team just crushing everyone? Nobody could figure out what's going on. And it comes out a few years later on that out of all of these mentally handicapped people, they weren't mentally handicapped. And it became a huge scandal. It's basically the premise for the Johnny Knoxville movie, The Ringer.
Yeah.
Pretending to be,
Pretending
mentally
to be,
challenged
yeah.
to gain an advantage. And the videos of these guys pretending to be mentally handicapped and mentally challenged is rough to watch.
Ooh.
There's not a ton of stuff out there, but it's just like, yeah, it's
They went the whole 9 yards.
they went full what's the movie?
Ringer.
No, the other movie where Robert Downey Jr., Ben Stiller, the Vietnam War movie, Jack Black,
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder. It was full Tropic Thunder. They went full Tropic Thunder because apparently you can't say the R word anymore. So we'll just replace that with Tropic Thunder. Yeah, supposedly they had 2 players that were below, I guess you can say the mental retardation sort of limit, below 70 IQ points.
Mhm.
The rest of the team were fully capable adult, mentally together people, just crushing all of these other teams. And it's sort of like, that would be like putting LeBron James in a wig and sticking him on like the WNBA. Like the amount of just the amount of dominance that's being displayed by these people is just like, and
did they strip them of their medals?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Oh yeah. I think they all got fined. But it's like, there's all this talk of like, PEDs and performance testing, especially within the Olympics. And especially like, if you ever watch the documentary Icarus, the whole Russian doping scandal, where they're literally like feeding, tainted piss through the walls and replacing it with clean piss. They've got all these tests and regulations to, the anti-doping thing, USADA, World Anti-Doping Agency as well. But like, it's a weird subject to broach of like, how do you test? It's audacious that the Spanish team would even think that this would be a viable option and that they would get away with it. But yeah, it's like, it's not like you can really just test every single player. I don't know. It's just that's such a it was just a story that caught my eye that I had heard about years ago.
That's wild. I didn't think anybody was that fucking stupid to try to organize and do that. And like, for what? Like, the fuck?
Yeah. It's not like, first of all, Olympic players or Olympians don't make that much money unless they're like top tier, like fucking Michael Phelps, and you have all these sponsorships with Subway and Gatorade or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What is there to gain by rigging the Special Olympics? And how the fuck would you sleep at night after dunking on a mentally handicapped person?
And then pretending to be a mentally handicapped person.
Yeah.
To justify it.
Yeah, dude.
Up.
It was just, that's
wild.
It's one of the craziest things that, and they almost got away with it. Like, they got all the way through and like won the gold medal. And they almost got away with it. It's like,
was there like a weird tell-all that got them caught?
Their deceit began to unravel when a picture of their victory celebrations on the court was published by Spanish sports daily Marca. Soon readers started commenting that they recognized some of the players and told them that they weren't actually disabled at all. It's basically the shittiest kind of version of like almost like an Ocean's 11 kind of story of just like, oh, we're going to pull off this grand conspiracy and this grand, scheme.
How could they not think that they would be recognized?
Yeah, I don't know how you could think you could get away with that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I
wild.
really don't. Once again, hubris is the downfall of all of mankind. Icarus. These guys flew a little bit too close to the sun.
Fuck yeah, man. Thanks for that. Let me tell you.
Freaking A, right, dude? All right, we're just gonna go ahead and end it right there, everyone. That was the episode. Thanks for watching, and that's one to grow on.
That's one to grow on.
Doesn't
There you
really
go.
work. Once again, we always find it in the fucking editing booth.
Yeah.
There's something.